Big Steve.
Shout out Michael Bisbee. Shout out special guest, Scrap Kappa. It's been a while. We'll do a little story time and then we'll get into it. If you're an OG listener, this was not my original co-host. The original co-host was Fimble Fight Picks. But then Scrap took over, and ever since he left, everyone's like, and I always do like a Twitter post, who should I do a show with? Everyone's like, bring back Scrap. I was like, he's not into it, man. He's not interested. And then I also started a Discord, 2 years ago? And you're like, I'm not really interested. There's too many people in there. I'll probably just argue with everyone. And like a week or so ago, the man's back. So the man is in the Big Brain MMA Discord. So if you needed any more reason to join, there's another sharp in there. All right, a little bit different betting to myself. A lot more action. But yeah, very sharp. How are you, man? Welcome back. It's been a while.
Yeah, good, man. Thanks for having me on. Been working on my social skills, as you alluded to there, as I age, trying to mellow out a little bit and not get as annoyed by people. But no, it's been good. Betting stuff is trucking along. It's definitely, I will say, I think most people sort of feel the same way. Like, it's definitely getting harder to win compared to when we were doing this, a few years ago. I feel like it was, I don't want to say it was easy, but it definitely wasn't as hard as it is now to find an edge. So yeah, having to be a bit more selective, but yeah, otherwise things are good.
No, it's good, man. Yeah, it seems like your style is still the same. And I agree. It definitely felt easy compared to now, but you can still profit now. It just takes a bit more work. It's just like random shit like, GM3 to get knocked out in round 1 by a power hitter was $3. Now it's like pick 'em. So it's a little bit annoying.
Props are definitely sharper. Like, the prices on like rounds 2, 3 now, you get like joke of a price, like literally half of what it used to be, stuff like that. So yeah, I feel definitely props have gotten a lot sharper.
That's right. This is I think this is a Contender Series is a place where there's still a decent edge. Although it ain't easy, man. Last year was the first time I didn't profit, but that's more on me than anything. I lost a lot in the first half with $2,000 units, and then I dropped to 500, and then I killed it, and I almost caught up. So obviously it was going to be hard to catch up in the last 5 episodes with 500 units when you're in a hole at 2,000. But yeah, you just have to be selective. And you said you might not be the best at capping this, but that's good because maybe we'll disagree. But if we agree, then that might be an issue because if we're both wrong. But we'll see. We'll get into it, man. Let's not waste any more time. So, Murtaza Tala, Susurkaev, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to pronounce his first name. This guy trains with Kamzat, apparently. Never taped him before. I got to say, this kid's good, I like his style. If anything, he's a little bit lackadaisical in there. It looks like he knows that some of the guys are not on his level. He's very young. And I thought Talha at massive plus money will have some value because I faded this guy with Bellado, but ultimately, I thought it was going to be Bellado's slight favorite, and he was a massive underdog and, a natural light heavyweight against a fat middleweight coming off an ACL injury. And I thought, Talha's better than that. And, yeah, I don't know. I just can't do it. I watched that last fight from Talha, which was basically a squash match that was flagged for, potentially a fix, and it looked definitely like that. And he just looked a bit slow. He looked slow. He looked like he lethargic, and obviously he hasn't fought in, like a year and something. I think he might have had another ACL injury. So he's 29. I thought he was younger than that. And I don't know. I just felt like I moved on. I'm like, this doesn't feel like a dog shot that I want to take. Susurkaev is definitely the A side, in my opinion, despite being on short notice. I think they're just bringing in Talha because they need middleweights. Maybe they're rewarding him for taking that fight against Bellado, when he wasn't prepared. But yeah, honestly, I probably would have just played the favorite if he went up to $1.60. I know a bit of steam came in on Talha, but now it's come back again. So I do have a screenshot of these over-unders. I don't know if they're the same. This is from like an hour ago. The other 2.5 rounds, that's a disgusting price. There's nothing really that sticks out. What do you think?
Yeah, I guess in terms of how I feel about the guys, kind of similar, but I think I feel a bit better about betting Tala than you, just kind of because of the circumstances. As you say, the Susurkaev guy looks like decent prospect, but when you watch the tape, there's definitely some red flags. As you say, lackadaisical, definitely being a big one. He's knows these guys aren't on his level, but he's quite happy to let guys like shoot on him and push him to the cage because I think he's generally pretty confident they're not going to get him down. And that's been the case for the most part. He's not been fighting very good guys. But then you go watch that Shane Sibnovsky fight, whatever his name is. And, he's like a pure regional journeyman battler type. And, he's taken him to a competitive 3-round decision. Like, obviously, I don't think there was any worry Suzakaya was ever losing that. But, he was gassed in the third. Sibnovsky was, grinding on the cage, looking for takedowns, was able to land some strikes. So, Shane Sibnovsky's a guy. If you are, a minus 400 against Tala, you should probably just be dusting out of there inside a round. So, yeah, the lackadaisical sort of nature in how he fights. He's happy to let guys grind on him. He's gassy. His volume's not the best, slows down. He is dangerous early, and he does seem to carry power fairly well, and his takedown defense is decent, although he lets guys get in too easily. And then on the Tala side, as you said, I don't like the guy objectively. Faded him with Balado on Contender Series last time. And as you say, off another knee injury, moves like shit, slow, clunky. But I do like that he's dropping to middleweight now, because basically the best thing he's got going for him is being like a big physical brute of a guy. And that should work better for him now, being at middleweight. He was really undersized at 205. And then sort of the main thing here is Suzakaya is on like a week or maybe a bit more's notice. So for a guy who's already got cardio concerns on a full camp, fighting like a big physical brute of a guy who you'd think is going to make him work, might mix in some wrestling, at the moment he's sitting plus 320 on Bet Online. I think that's fine for a small bet. Even though I don't like Tala at the price, I don't think you need to overcomplicate it too much. I also think the over might have some value as well. Susurkaev slows down, as you say, so I'm not sure he's going to be a finishing threat later on. Tala can crusher, so if he's, I'm not sure how he finishes Susurkaev personally, unless he just totally gasses out and gets pounded out on bottom or something like that. So I think both Tala and the over have some value.
Yeah, honestly, just listening to you and looking at some more wiki capping, that over seems to have a lot of value, man. Like, it's all just cab drivers that Talha is finishing, which is why I faded him against Balado. And then obviously Balado took Balado almost to round 3 to get him out of there, and he was gassed and he had a fuck ACL. And Balado hits hard, and he's a big light heavyweight. So that's that Subnosky guy is not good, man. Like, that's one of the main reasons why I consider Talha. The main thing that stuck out is like he's getting caught in potential calf slicer positions. Like, and he's just not doing the right thing to get out of him, that shit makes me cringe. I was like, I don't know if he's just so relaxed because he's like, I'm better at grappling than this guy. He's not going to tap me with a calf slicer, but you don't like to see it. Yeah, Dogger Pass and the over, that actually might be a play. I wonder what the 1.5 rounds is. That'll probably be good. Probably
I think 1.5. I think is very good. I think the finish really comes later if Tala's taken a bunch of damage because he's got no defense. I don't think. Like, of course, Susurkaev can put him out early. He's dangerous. He does it to a lot of guys. But you saw versus Balado that Tala's probably not going to fold the tent after eating a couple punches. I think you'll probably have to put a fair bit of damage on him to put him away. And then on the Susurkaev side, obviously, I think the finish risk comes when he slows down, especially on short notice. So, yeah, I think 1.5 is a good look.
All right, we agree there. Let's move on. Christopher Ewert El Tanque versus Yuri Panferov. Another guy returning, Panferov. For old mate Torres Finney got finished there, which is not aging well considering Torres Finney can't finish anyone. But yeah, I mean, this is a tough one for me to get a read. Honestly, Ewert seems better, right? But I think minus 200 is a bit over the top. He just fights like someone said that he's a construction worker by day, and I just said, he fights like a construction worker. He just goes out there and brawls. I think he can be taken down. He can be grappled as well. He can be cage pushed. His best win is this guy, Jimmy Page Jr., right, who's actually on week 7 of Contender Series. But I'm not really impressed with him. Like, I think he's just kind of made it by default. We need some fighters by the end of the season. So they just chuck that guy on against another middleweight. That's kind of okay as well. So, yeah, I mean, he gets 30-27s, even though his fights are scrappy, and he usually gets a knockout as well. So he's got the durability. He's Chilean. He's not Peruvian, but he's got the Chilean chin. But I think Yuri's going to take him down. I think Yuri's going to have some success, but there's just so many questions for him, man. He's ultimate can crusher as well. So it's like, what do we make of him? This Bastayev, you know who Bastayev is. He's the guy that was in Bellator, the absolute 6'5" guard puller.
Bastani.
Yeah, the Phil Hawes clocked on Contender Series years ago. and he's just not good at all. So that's his best win. He ground and pounded him. That's no surprise whatsoever. He's got no takedown defense. So I don't know. I just feel like Yuri can take him down. I don't know if I give him any submission offense potential. Like, maybe. Like there's just question marks. Like Ewert does have good get-ups from what I've seen. So, and Ewert might have better durability and more power. So I liked Panferov's second last fight with Edwards. He kind of paced himself and he took him 3 rounds to get Edwards out of there, but he wasn't like aggressively grappling. So he showed me that he can be composed and strike. And his striking didn't look too bad. Apparently he's a Golden Gloves boxer, which means nothing, as you know. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just I don't really want to play the Panferov dog shot because I feel he'll win and then he'll lose or get knocked out. And Ewert at minus 200, it's just disgusting, really. I think he's gonna be someone that's gonna build, knock him out late. I wouldn't mind, just Ewert by inside the distance, right? He's got a good guillotine. I thought about KO, but he has a good guillotine on him as well, and Yuri could potentially shoot into it. What do you think?
Yeah, pretty similar thoughts again. I like Ewert. I kind of bet him sort of around 130-ish average price. It's obviously steamed out way past that now to sort of like minus 200 where I wouldn't bet it. I think where I'd line Ewert is minus 180 to maybe minus 200 is a little bit aggressive, but I guess I could understand it getting there. In terms of how they match up, yeah, I just think Ewert's got a bunch of advantages here. He's the better striker. Pantherov is a punching bag on the feet. Like he's willing to throw and he's willing to scrap, like we've seen on tape. But the guy's a punching bag. He's got no defense. Also think he's a little bit more like fragile. One thing about Ewert's striking that I do really like, he's like really intentional about getting to the body. Doesn't wait till late in the fight either. Like straight away, round 1, he's digging to the body. You saw it in that last fight against that Edwards guy. I think that Edwards guy is decent, to be fair, as well. I think he's definitely probably the best guy either of them's fought, like including Torres Finney, because Torres Finney's just like a can you defend takedowns or get up sort of test. So it's kind of unique in that way. But I think Edwards is a lot more well-rounded, obviously. So a bit more of a test in that sense. And yeah, he was striking really well with him in that fight. Like you said, I think Ewert's got pretty good get-ups from what you've seen. He's not impossible to like get down to the ground, but he's got no interest in accepting the takedown, playing guard or that sort of thing. He uses the whizzer well, builds back to his feet. So yeah, overall, I think he's going to be able to keep it standing for the most part, land the better shots, get to the body. I think Ewert's pretty live to finish in the second half as well, just because Panferov's got no way of avoiding damage on the feet. You've seen him plenty of fights against Bastayev, man. He got lumped up bad. Like Bastayev obviously bought his 3 minutes of cardio, but Panferov, by the time the fight finished, the dude was really beat up. Like he's a bunch of
obviously you found that fight, yeah? Couldn't.
I didn't find the full fight, but there's clips of it floating around on social media, and it looks like they're basically just windmilling at each other for like the first round, and then Bastayev gasses, and Panferov just takes over and drowns him.
Nice.
So yeah, I like Ewert. Not much to sort of overcomplicate here. CES is just like a auto fade for me as well. I mean, we'll get to auto fade promotions later as well on some of these other fights, but man, like the level of CES is just so low. I think Ewert's the better striker. He's got better cardio, better durability. He goes to the body. So I like him to really pull away pretty hard in the second half of the fight if it gets there.
I will say Yuri does look in pretty good shape. I think middleweight is more his natural weight class, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think he's got like bad cardio per se, but when you're a punching bag, it's hard not to get tired. Like when you're just eating everything clean like that, that's going to slow you down. It's going to wear you out. Alrighty.
Jimmy Drago versus Ty Miller. So this is the one I taped the least amount. It's the first time I've taped Drago, and I'm like, all right, this is a striker versus striker. I don't know how I feel about Ty Miller minus 200 because I've taped this guy before. Honestly, I don't really enjoy taping him. He's like the LFA, CFFC type of guy. I hate those promotions. It just seems like a noodle, and I don't know. I was like, yeah, I know this kid. I can't be bothered. And his last 2 fights are like, 30-second knockout and then an eye poke. And it's like, you expect a lot of improvement from him at 25. I wish there was some more footage to see just how much he's improving. Because some of the earlier fights, they're a bit, okay, he's a little bit green, he's a little bit young. So minus 200 is a bit crazy, in my opinion. I'm just wondering why Drago, another guy that has good power, even in his loss against Itzo Babaladze, it dropped him bad with a spinning elbow or spinning back fist. So I'm just wondering, striker versus striker, why that's the case. Obviously, Miller looks huge, insanely tall for this weight class. It's crazy. 6'2". So yeah, what do you think, man? As someone that might have done more tape than me.
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with Ty Miller because he's been on, CFFC a bunch. I really rate him. I think he's a really good prospect. I mean, even back when he was beating like Manny Morales in his like second or third pro fight, I was pretty high on the kid. So he's from that fit NHB to means gym, and you can see like heaps of that in his style and the way he fights. Technically super sound, striking, like really well balanced, good stance, hands are always in position, good eyes in the pocket, like basically like young Tim Means if he still had a chin. So he's got really good volume, really good that just long striking game, varied, uses all 8 weapons really well. Has pretty decent takedown defense. You go check out that Manny Morales fight, and all he's doing is just defensively grappling against like a complete sniffer for 3 rounds. So yeah, I'm pretty high on the kid. I think he's really good. In terms of the Drago side, hadn't taped him before looking at this, and he seems fine, albeit I think he's a bit limited, and his level of competition's definitely not what Miller's has been. Drago is just like this classic New York, for some reason, these New York guys all tend to be these kind of like meatheady power wrestle boxer guys, like all the Longo guys and all that sort of thing. And I think he sort of fits into that mold. So I don't think he's a bad fighter by any means, but I think Miller has the length, the variety, the volume, the proven level of competition on the feet. Drago has shown he's willing to like cage push, go for some takedowns on tape. I don't expect him to have any grappling success here. I think Ty Miller's pretty hard to ground and to keep down. So I like Ty Miller here, basically. I think he's just the better, longer striker, more tools, more variety, more volume. Drago seems tough, so I'm not sure if he'll be able to put him away. Price is annoying. Minus 200 is a bit too much juice to lay for contender series, although I'm pretty confident Miller gets this done. I did get a little bit on sort of minus 160-ish. Limits were shit, though, so I couldn't get much on. So I'm just going to leave it at that. I think it's Ty Miller, late stoppage or decision. I think Drago's probably in need of an early finish here.
Nice. What's your thought on the under 2.5 at pretty close to evens?
Yeah, it's a hard part because, Drago maybe lands a bomb, hits hard, but I don't see like a consistent path for him outside like landing a big bomb on a guy who's like longer, going to be hard to get to, has good defense. That's the thing for a tall guy. Ty Miller does not have tall man defense. He's actually got, really good defense. He knows how to stay long, uses length when he's inside. He's actually got pocket defense. He knows how to cover up and protect himself in there. And then on the Ty Miller side, I think like the finish could be more attritional. So I would probably want that last half a round. So if I was looking to back a finish, maybe ends KO, or otherwise you get, a little bit cute and you look at like Drago, KO 1, Miller 2-3, that sort of thing. Under 2.5, not so interesting because I'd want the last half of the third round for the Ty Miller sort of finish equity late. But you know me, I'm not really an unders guy most of the time, although I have been betting them more lately.
Yes, you're definitely a go the distance man, the opposite of me.
Yeah,
Alrighty.
Again, I think like a Ty Miller plus over 1.5 or something, if you end up getting, a decent price on that, I would definitely get on that at evens-ish or better.
Nice. Good stuff. Alrighty. So, Rafael da Silva, or Radley da Silva, what a weird name. Radley. George Mangos. Cool last name, I guess. We've got a BFL champion at 30 years of age versus, a super prodigy, they call him, from our scene here in Australia / New Zealand, the Hex FC champion. So, I don't know. I think both of these organizations don't have the highest level of opposition. I'm gonna be generous and say I would give Canada the edge, in my opinion. There's been some good guys out of Australia and New Zealand recently, but generally, like the mid-range and outside the prospects, Australia has a lot of bums. But yes, interesting. Similar records, but one guy's 30, kind of now or never for the UFC, while the other one is just starting. So I personally can't get a read on this fight. Obviously, a lot of money is coming on Radley, and now people like yourself have hit Mangos. So tell us why you like your boy Mangos.
Yeah, a few reasons. If you want to look at it like sort of macro sense, you say you give Canada sort of the edge when it comes to the regional sort of level. I don't know if that's in general or specific to the guys these two have fought. I'd probably put Australia a fair bit ahead of Canada, to be honest. I'm not very high on the level of regional Canadian MMA. You know, I've taped a lot of BFL since they've been, you know, letting us bet on that for a while, and the stuff is just, it's super low level, man. I mean, for its flaws, I think Australia is still comfortably a step above, and that's just because like a lot of the good Canadian guys, they end up fighting in the US on the US regional promotions. In Australia, at least, you get like a concentration of the best talent in Australia and New Zealand into Eternal and Hex, basically. So I think, yeah, you kind of get a bit of a better level, although, as you say, there's plenty of jobbers still around in Australia. In terms of this fight, yeah, so age, I think Radley's largely a finished product. Watching, like, I taped his last, like, however many fights, I went pretty deep, and you see some improvements fight to fight, but, you know, I wasn't left with an impression that, like, wow, this guy has really worked on XYZ. When I come away, he's just kind of, you know, making improvements here and there per fight. I think the biggest thing that he's got going for him is he's big and athletic, explosive guy, makes him dangerous on the feet. I don't really like his process. When I watch him strike, I don't really see him sort of being intentional about setting things up or building his offense. He's just kind of out there throwing, and it works because he's way bigger, way more explosive, way more athletic than these squib guys that he's fighting in Canada. So I think he's dangerous, but I don't rate his striking too much. Where he gets it done, mostly the grappling. His wrestling looks okay. Again, he's like physical. He can just shoot a double, lock his hands, put these guys down. Haven't seen much evidence he can really chain wrestle. Once he's on top, he pretty much double legs guys into close guard for the most part. And then at a certain point, they realize they've got to get off bottom. They go to give up. They expose their back. He takes their back and he finishes them. So I haven't seen much evidence of like really good ground and pound, really good passing. But he is a good back taker, and I'll give him, he's a good finisher from the back. Like he does have like good finishing mechanics in terms of how he's like hand fighting and switching sides and setting up the finish and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's probably the best part of his game. In terms of Mangos, I'm pretty high on this kid. I mean, he's 21 years old, which is ridiculous. Like to be at this level at 21, you know, that's pretty exciting. He's already got some really good wins. You know, people don't really know who they are, but Jarrett Wilbraham and Justin Van Heerden are pretty solid wins. I feel like Wilbraham's like a good cardio striking sort of test for a young fighter. Like, you know, one of our guys fought Jarrett and lost a 3-round decision. He's not the easiest guy to beat. He is suspect to the grappling though, so that's why George was able to get him out of there with the choke. And then Van Heerden, he's a good grappling test, you know, so he'll just keep shooting takedowns, and he did control George for a fair bit of their fight. So there was obviously some concern there. But overall, in terms of the striking, I think George has just better process. His technique is better. He punches straight, quick. Like he's got great eyes. I think he's just going to beat Radley to the punch because Radley's a bit wide, a bit loopy, a bit clunky. Although he's dangerous, George is just super intentional, throws. Yeah, he's just very venomous, like down the middle. You can see every strike he throws, he's like aiming for the chin, trying to make it count, looking for the knockout. I will say issue with George's striking though, volume's not the best. I would like him to put a bit more out there. So, you know, while they're striking, then this means it could be like minute competitive because George isn't going to be like pulling away massively on volume. In terms of the grappling, he's super dangerous. Good back taker himself, so kind of a mirror match up there. Both guys good back takers, back finishers. I think George is better off bottom. He can use his guard to sweep, submit, get up. Haven't really seen Radley on bottom. Kind of makes me lean towards that he might not be the best if he gets there. Although that being said, I don't see George like putting him flat on his back and pinning him. I think George is going to take his back, if anything, because that's what he likes. But yeah, I think how it plays out is it's definitely competitive early. Radley, when he's fresh, big, powerful, athletic guy, probably land some big shots and maybe land some takedowns as well. But as the fight sort of progresses, I like George to land harder, land cleaner, pull away on cardio. And I like him to find like a late finish here. I think he's going to submit Radley in the third. So I'm on George like minus 120 through to like minus 135-ish. I wouldn't play him above minus 150. He's a young kid, green. It's contender series. He might be at an athletic disadvantage here. Who knows? Maybe Radley just comes out and can horse him around and control him because he's, you know, he's good on the back and he's a big athletic guy. So I wouldn't be laying too much juice on George. This minus 140 is getting right towards where the edge of where I'd play it. But yeah, that's how I see it.
Then what else is there to add? You've just given us the whole synopsis from top to bottom. Yes. Well, that makes it understandable. I do agree with the last bit. You know, the reason I haven't locked it in is I do get the sense that Radley might be just more functional, more physical at this current stage. I've seen him go 5 rounds and grapple heavy for 5 rounds and not really get tired. The worst thing I've seen him do is kind of put himself in deep hooks and not really know how to defend.
Yeah, and that was really red flaggy to me. And there, I forget, against that same guy, maybe a guillotine as well. I think there was another, there was the heel hooks, the guillotine, and then that Drake Randall like threw him around a bit as well. So
yeah, I think
and his cardio, his cardio doesn't look the best to me. I mean, it's complete one-way traffic. He's hosing these guys in 5 rounds, so he's not having to work or fight through any adversity at all. So I'm interested to see, how this goes later.
Yeah, well, that's true, but same can be said for George because other than Wilbraham and Ben Heaton, which is, I guess, it's a good thing that he just kept fighting and he got that last second triangle. He didn't really seem discouraged or anything like that. And I honestly thought that was a high level finish. All right, like there's a few steps. There's a few steps to finishing a triangle. Like that's my second favorite sub now, and it's like it's not over until you just keep turning the corner and they're gonna stack you. And he kept getting the leg and kept adjusting and went ahead and like I still think he's a bum. Like I got someone in here saying, "Am I gonna put an Aussie Patriot?" They're always disappointed with my bets. I never, going back to fading Whitaker in the last one. I'm always fading the Aussies, but they've been good last season. Last season was a really high level of Aussies, probably the best to come through. I love Haddon. Haddon's one of my favorites, but you could tell that he's just like an animal from day one on his, and even obviously Steve Erceg and whatnot. I've been singing his praises before he even made it to the UFC, but who knows, man? There's so many questions. Like I still think Radley will be able to get takedowns, and then it's like, what happens then? Mango does seem to have good get-ups, and also on the feet, I think Radley might just have a bit more power. But Mangos does seem more technical. I don't know if he really hits hard. Like he's just running through these bummy dudes. I don't know. It's a tough one. It seems competitive, which is why I can't really lock anything in at the moment. I'm not going to force anything on episode 1. I think there might be a lot of good live bets. It's a bit of a cop-out, to say a live bet it. But, I mean, it could be a back-and-forth fight. I do see George Mangos potentially later finish, 2 or 3. And, if we see Radley Silva slowing down, why not? Why not just live bet it? It's just how we operate, right?
Yeah, I think if you are hesitant about betting at pre-fight, then there's a very good chance that George is a better live bet than pre-fight for sure.
Alrighty. Now to the highest level fight on the card. Ewert Bouafia versus Neemias Santana. Right? That was a joke. I don't think this is that high of a level of a fight, but honestly, these guys, I don't know why I thought they were heavyweights. Watching their tape, felt like they were heavyweights. But yeah, they're middleweights apparently. So there you go. Bouafia, the gorilla, more technical. Honestly, I'm surprised by this age as well. 28. I thought this kid was like 23. A lot of surprises on this fight. Wow. I thought Santana was like an older, gritty Brazilian, and I thought Bouafia was like this young 23-year-old French guy. But yeah, I guess not. So yeah, basically the dog will pass for me. This Santana dude, he's just a bit of a lumbering oaf, and he comes forward. He has insane hardware. It kind of looked like a bit of a nothing burger early in his career. Now he's just starting to get more KOs. One of these guys that he went to a draw with, Vincius, he just rematched him 2 fights later in LFA and sparked him in round 2. So he seems to be improving. And, Bouafia, he's like Aries guy, and that's a bit of a red flag. He's just, sticking and moving. But he was dropped by Gracha, whatever the hell his name is. That's a bit of a red flag. He's like an old Portuguese grappler. He's a bit chinny, so he knocked him out in the round 5. But I don't know. I just think this feels competitive. I can't think of any other high-level breakdown other than this seems competitive. And Bouafia might be able to stick and move for a bit, but surely Santana's going to get something going or land something at one point. Like he seems very durable, Santana. So I don't think. This kid, I keep want to say kid, but he's not a kid. He's 28. I don't know why. Just the tape said to me that he was a kid. So I don't think he's going to run through him. The under 2.5 rounds is minus 200. That might be I consider that as a safe option, but I honestly think when you put them against each other, he might be competitive and he might go long. So Dogger Pass for me, this is probably the closest I am on to a play on a money line. Plus 160 last time I checked on Santana. What do you think?
Yeah, similar thoughts. Clear Dogger Pass to me. I'm never going to be betting like a French Aries guy at minus 200 and something on Contender Series, especially like given how they match up. You'd think watching the tape, this is largely going to be a striking fight. I mean, if anyone's going to be wrestling, I think it's a French guy. I think there's the potential for that. If Santana can like hurt him or make him uncomfortable, we might see him start wrestling. But it's not, his go-to. They're both like good strikers in different ways. French guys, more slick, more technical. Got some nice sort of finishes and that and performances on tape. But these Aries guys he is fighting, it's just like they've got nothing for him. Only decent guy he's fought is that like Paulin big eye dude, and he took him to decision. As you said, he got dropped by that Grasser guy. Massive red flag. That dude's dusty as hell. So I don't really get the line. I think you got to favor the French guy because he just clearly looks like a bit slicker, technical. He's fucking massive. Moves well, strong, fast, all that sort of stuff. But Santana's got the X factor, and this is the kind of like dog you want to back on Contender Series. It's always these Brazilians with attributes who are going to go out there and just like go rabies for your money. The dude's left hand seems to have like a bit of the death touch. It's real nasty. He hurts, drops or finishes pretty much everyone he fights. Had a few like uglier performances like that loss in that draw earlier where he was basically losing, getting out grappled. But as you said, I think he is improving. He seems like to understand how to not just like run on to takedowns anymore. Once he hurts a guy, he's fighting a bit more measured, but he's keeping that aggression, which is really nice. So yeah, I took a little bit at plus 185. I think anything better than plus 150 is solid. I would make this like for the French guy, maybe 60-40 at the most. I think getting past 60, if you're laying more juice than that on the French guy, I think you might be in for a bit of a sweat. This Santana guy isn't going to sit back and give him like a real, boring French tit-tat kickboxing match. He's going to get after him in the small cage, and that left hand is pretty nasty. So yeah, I like that guy to fight for your money at the price. Indeed.
I don't really understand the line either. I think it's just because he looks cleaner and prettier on the eye,
Yeah, I think so. But the level of comp is just nothing, and he fights all these like French, William Gomez kind of guys who are all like pussies. This Santana guy is going to get after him. He's not going to be scared of him.
Yeah, I mean, if there was anyone half the talent of William Gomez on his record, that would be pretty impressive. But
it's more just like the style thing, all these Aries guys like to fucking tap leg kicks and run around that French fucking whatever that gym is, their style, Cyril Gahn and them.
A lot of them actually, man, I started taping Aries recently just because obviously it's on Bet365, and man, there's so many squash bum matchups like fat, like 2 days short notice, overweight guys, upper weight class versus the prospects. Like, wow, this is probably the worst.
Fernand Lopez runs Aries, that's why. So he gets all his MMA factory guys squash matches. It's the same as, there's all these other promotions, where the coach of a gym is also the promoter and the matchmaker, and it pretty much just serves to pad his guy's record to get them to the UFC, and then he gets a chunk of their purse, right? It's an infinite money hack.
It's really bad, It's really bad from what I noticed. Anyway, so, I'll do some more due diligence just to see if I'm missing anything. But, I mean, Santana, someone said on another show, Santana just reminds me of, like, Branderson Ribeiro, who, but just...
That's a bit rough.
But with actual durability. So, if he can not get knocked out here, like, how is this not competitive? Yeah, and cardio. So, how is this not competitive? So, that's the one for me, man. That, and I actually completely forgot about the comments. If you don't mind sticking on for 2 more seconds, I'm going to go through these comments. Yep. It's like all the Americans are sleeping, so I got to give some respect to these lads that are tuning in live. What's up, Glimbot? Eric thinks Panferov is absolute dog shit. Well,
I tend to agree.
But I tend to lean that way too. You think Ewert too durable for the under? I'm going to say if it's going to be a finish, it's going to be like a rear naked choke, but I just tend to think that he should be able to survive. Moyes.
I think early finish Panferov needs like something weird, like hurt him and jump on his back and choke him real quick.
Yeah,
Like what happens to
it'll be early.
Yon Top? I think
Or if
Ewert's a
he's
bit of a Yon Top, so
or if he's so much better, they have to like flatten him out, ground and pound him. But I just don't see it. Yuri's meant to have gotten his Bijou black belt.
you don't care about
Hello.
belts.
Yeah, no. Hello, blonde dog.
I'm a black belt, and I'll tell you, it means jack shit in MMA.
Yeah, I mean, that's correct. Congrats on that black belt, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
Moy says Mango's mum's name is Mrs. Berries. X is the same level as Cage Warriors. Well, Cage Warriors has gone to absolute shit recently, so you might be right there.
Honestly, I think Hex might be higher level than Cage Warriors now. Living in the UK and training with guys who are on Cage Warriors, I'm like, man, Cage Warriors has gone to the dogs. It's bad.
Man, we down here, we have actually really good, really high level grappling down here in Australia. Obviously,
Australia is really good, man. Like people think I'm biased. I'm not even Australian. Like New Zealanders and Australians have that like rivalry, so I'm not trying to suck off Australia by any means. But man, Australian MMA is very high level. I put it up there as like one of the highest level regional scenes in the world, mainly because the US is so fractured and splintered now. Guys are all over the place, so it's hard for good guys to fight other good guys on the regionals. Then otherwise you got, standard Brazil, ACA, that sort of stuff is obviously very high level. But yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even before Craig, man, we had like Lockie and Kit Dale all the way back in the day, who's just come off like 4 years off the couch and just rinsed everyone in Australia in grappling. Boof might catch him with a counter and stiff him. Man, he hasn't really stiffed many people like that are good.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, but...
Oh, yeah, it's definitely possible.
I'll be interested to see if he can like find those counters. Like at the moment, he's getting like the most tepid, measured striking. So it's just like he can just sit back, pick his shots all day. He's going to be under some heat from Santana. So I'll be keen to see if he can sort of keep his composure and find the shots against like a guy who's going to be bringing that kind of fight.
Good stuff. So I don't have any bets, so I can't really say anything. But right at the moment, the Tala overs are sticking out. And this Santana as a moneyline play, but I'm going to assume your favorite bet is Mango's. Correct me if I'm wrong.
At current lines, yeah, I would say Mangos as like a conviction play. I think Tala is like auto bet at the price as well. Like it's pretty hard not to get around like plus 300 given the circumstances and the over as well. I like both. If you don't like Tala, then I think the over is a decent look because if Suzakaya is not getting him out of there and the first round, I think his chances of finishing go down fairly steeply, as you saw against Subnowski, if you watch that fight.
Especially like the cardio on short notice. So
yeah, he's on like a max, definitely no more than 2 weeks notice. So yeah, definitely a red flag there.
Yeah, well, how he barely made weight is kind of a giveaway. I don't think he's a massive guy, but he
looked shit as well on the scale. Like looked very skinny, fat, didn't look in shape. So hard weight cut because he doesn't appear to be in shape. No.
Well, imagine if Talha busts this over, just gets him out of there round one, just because he's so out of shape.
You gotta have both. I can see it, man. The Susurkaev guy is so gassy. If Tala ends up on top of him, like in round 2 or something, like, and I could easily see Susurkaev just being too tired to get out of a position, and the ref has to like mercy stop it or something like that.
All right. Well, that's it. We still almost went 40 minutes, but good stuff, man. Thanks for doing the show. It's been a while. I'm going to try and get you on for at least halfway through the season. I'll try not to mess up the time. Like for this first episode, I thought it was actually meant to be yesterday at a different time, but thanks for doing it, man. If you can't do it, let me know. But I'll be hitting you up every week. And anything to plug, my friend?
Nope. If you want to talk fights, then you can jump in Steve's Discord, like he said. But I don't have anything to pitch or sell otherwise.
All good. Well, like and subscribe. Thanks for listening, and peace out.